Alright guys, so this is the 2023 Cervelo Caledonia 105 model. Wanted to do a quick overview of this bike with you guys, kind of show you what it's all about. So first thing you'll notice is the frame, which in my opinion is a beautiful color. Cervelo calls this the Oasis color. They make several different frame colors, but this one I think is the best. It's just this beautiful shiny greenish blue that sort of changes color depending on the angle you look at it. I think it's really gorgeous. At first I thought it was kind of cheesy, but seeing it in person, I really warmed up to it, and I think it's probably actually the best color bike that they have in the whole Caledonia lineup, just my opinion. So looking at the frame, the next thing you'll probably notice then is the top of the top tube has a bento box mount, which you can use to mount anything. Here's a picture of the bike when I put a portable air pump on it. But you can mount, again, anything on there. Typically you'd mount some kind of bag for snacks and spare parts and whatnot. Ironically, the Caledonia 5 model, the higher end version of this bike, does not have that. I don't know why. So that's one feature you get with this Caledonia that you don't get on the Caledonia 5. So the next thing you'll notice then, when just kind of glancing at the bike from a distance, is of course the drivetrain, which is Shimano 105 throughout, which is really great. I love how this bike in particular has a 105 crank, whereas the newer Cervelos that ship with 105 don't actually have a 105 crank. They have a Shimano FS, FC, something or other generic looking crankset. The 105 crank makes the bike look much more complete, so I think this is much more pleasing to look at. Now the crankset is a 52-36, and then the cassette in the back is an 11-34, so it's a pretty moderate range, a general sort of all-purpose range that you'll see on a lot of bikes, pretty common with 105 in particular. It'll get you through most circumstances. The brakes are hydraulic disc brakes. Shimano starts the hydraulic disc brake at the Tiagra price point, so 105 is going to have a little bit more responsive brakes than Tiagra. I think they're great. The shifting performance, the braking performance on the 105 is really, really good. The only reason I would say to upgrade to anything beyond that is if you wanted lighter weight. Now the through axles down here and the fork and the rear chainstay are going to be your standard 100mm in the front and 142mm in the back. They both have a nice little lever that stays attached, so you can simply just unscrew this to remove the through axle, which then you can remove the wheel. So taking the wheels off is actually very easy. It does not require any special tools, which is awesome. Okay, let's look at the wheels now. So these are going to be the Alex Rims Boondocks 5D wheels. Now there's nothing really special about these wheels. They're just very basic aluminum wheels. They are robust, so I wouldn't really worry about damaging them, especially if you're going on like gravel and stuff. Even if you do damage them, they're so basic. You just get a new pair or whatever, put them on there. But performance wise, then of course they're going to be pretty, lackluster, nothing super special. Even the highest end versions of this bike still ship with aluminum wheels, which is interesting to me. I'm surprised they didn't put carbon wheels default on this. So it is what it is. Nothing that interesting, but they work. The tires are the Vittoria Zaffarillo Pro 30mm tires. They're fairly slow tires compared to like a 25mm Conti GP 5000, but I think Cervelo went with these due to puncture protection and just their kind of robust nature. You could even just use this setup as is on like gravel because these tires are pretty beefy. Okay, so at the front of the bike then, you've got your standard Cervelo alloy bar and stem. Nothing special at all. They have the Cervelo logo on them, so technically they are, I guess, a Cervelo brand, but it really feels like a very generic handlebar and stem combo. I'm guessing Cervelo probably outsources these parts to some cheap company overseas and just puts their logo on it. Handlebar I really don't like. I think it's very thin, so it's not very comfortable, versus if you had like a wider, aero handlebar with kind of the flat profile, it would help spread the weight of the pressure of your hands a little bit more than this one does, and it would soften the road vibration. And plus with this handlebar, you feel the wires underneath the bar tape, underneath the handlebar, which I just hate that. It always feels so cheap. Putting a nice aero handlebar on this bike would probably be a pretty easy and worthwhile upgrade. Same with the seat post and saddle. Again, it's just a very basic aluminum seat post and a very basic saddle. I don't mind the saddle so much because I think it's pretty comfortable, and I'd rather have a comfortable saddle than like a high-end saddle, which is painful. But the seat post is just blah. I mean, it's just this, typical 27.2mm aluminum seat post, which is pretty standard, so you could easily put a carbon fiber one in there and it would soften the road vibration a little bit. So what do I think of this bike then in terms of ride quality? Well, I've put tons of miles on this very bike, and what I can say is that I've noticed this is definitely a cross between comfort and aero. So if you're familiar with the Trek Domani, for example, this feels very much like a Trek Domani, but just a little bit more aggressive, which some people will definitely like. I do recommend this bike typically as an endurance bike for a lot of people who want something comfortable but not so upright that it feels like you're going on a leisure cruise around town. Not that the Domani feels that way, but for some people who are really into the sport, the Domani could feel that way. So if you want something that's kind of more for going to the cafe with your buddies and whatnot, but you still want to be a little bit competitive, this is a really good option as far as the fit goes. Now, unfortunately, I do think the basic parts that ship with this bike are really not bringing out what this frame is capable of. Namely, the aluminum bar, stem, and seat post and wheels. They're just such like generic, uninteresting, boring parts. Cervelo probably ships this knowing that people are going to upgrade these parts. Even the higher end versions of this bike don't ship with anything special as far as handlebars and stem and seat post and wheels go. So I would probably put like some deep dish carbon fiber wheels on this and probably an aero handlebar, carbon fiber handlebar, to really get some performance improvement out of it. I guess the bottom line is then, do I recommend it? Well, I do recommend this for somebody, again, who wants a cross between aero and comfort. Sometimes those like aero bikes like the S5 and even the R5 or just, Scott Foil or Trek Madone, they are really great bikes, but they can be like very specifically designed for racing. And this is a good bike that kind of crosses aggressive fit with the more comfortable geometry. So I think it's a great option for that, but I do recommend probably upgrading some of the parts, at least the handlebar, if nothing else. I really hate this handlebar. So then the bottom line is, should you buy it? Well, I do not think you should spend $3,200 on this, which is what it retails for. Please keep in mind, you can negotiate with bike retailers. These bikes are on sale all the time, and I negotiate bikes all the time, and I get several bikes from several different retailers, especially with a bike like this because it's been around for a while, and especially with this color in particular. This color in particular has been around for a while, so dealers that have it in stock are probably going to want to try to move it out of their shop. So I would definitely negotiate, probably if you can get it for like $2,500, between $2,500 and $2,700. I think it's more compelling. For $3,200, I don't think you're getting a very good value with this. But as I said, these go on sale all the time. At the time of this video, you can see all these different retailers that have this bike on sale. And if you go to them in person, I would just try to negotiate a couple hundred more off. Chances are they'll work with you, but your mileage may vary there. Anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. Just a quick rundown. I think it's a great bike for the right price, if you can find it at the right price, but I do think it probably warrants some upgrades. Overall, comfortable, robust. I think it's a good option, and I'm happy that Cervelo has it in their lineup. Thanks for watching. More videos soon. See you in the next one.